Coming up today on Good Morning BU.
President Donald Trump signs an executive order to shut down the Department of Education.
And hear from Mayor Michelle Wu's State of the City address as she continues her re-election campaign.
While BU students dig through data to find solutions to housing for seniors.
And our sports correspondents give us the rundown on the BU men's ice hockey game last night.
Then see how one local artist is bringing art education to the Boston community.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now. Hello and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Sophia Falbo.
And I'm George Lehman. Here are today's top stories. Ukraine's report a city of Odessa caught fire late Thursday night after Russian forces launched a mass drone attack, leaving 3 people injured. This follows President Donald Trump's expressed optimism about peace talks after back-to-back phone calls with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier this week. The two leaders separately agreed to a limited ceasefire on energy infrastructure, while recent attacks from both sides have underlined challenges for an agreement. Peace talks are set to resume on Wednesday.
In other presidential news, Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to get rid of the Department of Education, which will likely affect students nationally. Trump blamed the DOE for the decline in America's academic record and claimed it's doing the country no good. The order directs Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take steps towards closing the DOE and return education power to the states. The DOE sends billions of dollars a year to schools and manages more than $1 trillion in federal student loans.
The Federal Reserve is holding interest rates steady as policymakers wait for clear signals on how Trump's tariffs will affect the economy.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
Federal Chair Jerome Powell announced on Wednesday that the range for the main borrowing rate will remain between 4.25% and 4.5%. This means that banks in need can still borrow money from the Reserve or other banks at the same interest rate they have been. Powell also says that despite uncertainties, the current economy remains strong.
Stepping away from financial news, federal judges have expressed concerns and fears about recent online and real-world threats.
Look, the issue is whether or not federal court orders will be followed by President Trump.
Trump called for the impeachment of District Judge James Boasberg on Tuesday. Boasberg temporarily blocked the Trump administration's order to deport Venezuelan immigrants. This has led many of Trump's supporters to attack the judge and his family members on social media. Threats aimed towards judges are not new, but recently they have been targeting various judges who are hearing lawsuits against the Trump administration.
It's been 5 years since the COVID-19 lockdown. A federal judge in Minneapolis made a ruling on Wednesday about a pair who exploited government child nutrition programs during the pandemic. Amy Bach, founder of Feeding Our Future, and Salem said a former restaurant owner are charged with cheating taxpayers of $250 million. Bach is found guilty of all 7 accounts against her and said she was guilty of 21 accounts, 5 of which included money laundering. Bach and said are described as having taken advantage of the COVID crisis in Minnesota and across the nation. U.S. District Judge Nancy Brazel ordered the 2 jailed without setting a sentencing date.
Pepsi announced Monday that it's buying Poppi, a prebiotic soda brand, for almost $2 billion. Poppi is making waves in the soft drinks market as soda lovers look for convenient and great tasting options without the excessive sugar levels. Forbes is calling this a major accomplishment for Poppi, since the brand was founded less than 10 years ago. Some say Poppi is appealing to Gen Z and millennial soda drinkers with its flavor options and colorful retro cans. Now, I don't know about you, George, but I love Poppi. I have some here with me today to share with you.
Well, thank you, Sophia. And I will say I've never tried Poppi before, but I think I'll have to give it a try after the show today. What is this, the raspberry rose flavor? It sounds really good. Do you have
that one's good. I got cherry limeade, one of my personal favorites. Now, I just got to say, we're not sponsored by Poppi, but GMBU just happens to be really, really big fans. You got to give it a try.
What can we say? I'm definitely going to give it a try after this break, and maybe during this break, I'm going to head down to the dining halls to see if they have some more soon.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? it was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. That surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Welcome back. Let's head a couple blocks over to the MGM Music Hall to see what Mayor Michelle Wu said in her State of the City address on Wednesday night. In her address, Wu highlighted Boston's resistance against the Trump administration's attacks on the city's public servants, immigrants, veterans, and the LGBTQ+ community. Wu also introduced new education programs to improve Boston public schools. Regardless of her optimistic tone, Wu made indirect references to school closures.
We're making the hard but necessary decisions to right-size our district and best serve our students. This school year, for the first time ever, families can track students' bus rides, and BPS finally has the data on which students are riding on which days.
This came before the Boston School Committee voted last night to close 4 schools at the end of this school year. Our correspondent, Kara Mim, has more on the committee's decision.
Well, Sophia, despite months of protests by parents and teachers in the community, 4 Boston public schools will be closing at the start of the 2026-2027 school year, and 2 more will be merged. This will affect over 1,300 students, and more than 1/3 of those students are said to be multilingual learners. This decision came last night after the Boston School Committee voted in a 5-1 decision that this is best for Boston students. Look, we're seeing that these decisions are based on a decline in student rates, aging buildings, and that these facilities just aren't serving the community as well as they used to. Now, the Boston Public Schools Superintendent, Mary Skipper, said that this will save about $20 million and that this money will be put into the remaining schools. Now, we saw the reactions before. There were protests and rallies before this decision was made. So only time will tell to see how the community will react to this decision. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Kara. And now for another important city update. The Boston Celtics were sold for $6.1 billion on Thursday. This is the highest selling purchase of a sports team in North America. Current Celtics owner Wyc Grousbeck sold the team to Bill Chisholm, co-founder of the Symphony Technology Group and a lifelong Celtics fan. In an interview with the Boston Globe, Chisholm said he is all about winning championships and raising banners now and in the years to come. While the sale is still pending approval by the NBA Board of Governors, Chisholm is expected to begin overseeing team operations in the 2027 to 2028 season.
Moving over a couple states, a man from Connecticut was found after being held captive by his mother for 2 decades. Authorities were alerted of his situation after he intentionally lit his bedroom on fire. The man told police he drank water from the toilet to avoid extreme thirst and lived on just 2 sandwiches a day. His mother, Kimberly Sullivan, denies these charges of neglect and abuse, arguing that her son had mental health issues. Authorities found the man hadn't bathed in up to a year and weighed only 68 pounds at 5 foot 9 inches. He tested positive for both PTSD and depression. The investigation is ongoing following his mother's arrest.
In another update to the Karen Reed trial, Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor was fired from his position. A trial board recommended Proctor's termination after he sent derogatory text messages about Reed while serving as the lead prosecutor for her July 1st mistrial. The board also ruled that Proctor consumed alcohol when on the job for an unreleased case. Reed is accused of backing her SUV into her boyfriend, a Boston police officer, while under the influence of alcohol. Now, let's take flight for some important Logan Airport stories.
Rideshare fees to and from Logan Airport will be increasing this summer. Starting July 1st, riders will be charged a $5.50 fee to and from Logan Airport, a jump of $2.25 from the current fees. Massport board members voted unanimously Thursday night to approve the fees, with the goal of reducing traffic congestion outside of the airport. Both Uber and Lyft have been rallying against the proposed fee increases over the past few weeks, saying that the fees would impede their ability to provide quality service to customers. The fees will also serve as a major source of revenue for Massport. Massport reports the fees have already generated $15.6 million in 2024 alone. The new fees for airport pickups by taxis and limos will also increase by 2028.
In more Logan Airport news, the United Airlines Flight Attendants Union demonstrated outside of Terminal B on Wednesday. Flight attendants are protesting for the airline to move forward with the contract negotiations that have been ongoing for 4 years. Other major airlines such as American and Alaska have completed contracts to raise wages in the last few years. Although the number of demonstrators was limited to 10, the Massachusetts Union joined 18 other unions across the country calling for action.
Across the river in Cambridge, Harvard University recently announced that it's offering free tuition to students whose families make an annual income of less than $200,000 per year. The plan, set to start in the next school year, aims to increase affordability to middle-class families. The plan also says that students whose families make less than $100,000 a year will have expenses, including tuition, food, housing, and travel, waived by Harvard. Harvard President Alan Garber made a statement about expanding the university's financial accessibility, saying this widens the array of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives of students. This plan follows a list of other universities across the country, like MIT and Princeton, that are aiming to lower the financial load on middle-class and low-income students.
Maybe BU will be influenced by its friends across the river, and speaking of the river, hopefully it will be fully melted soon. Mira, how's it looking?
Well, since the first day of spring was yesterday, I think some warmer weather will melt through that water. As for this weekend, Saturday is looking cloudy, but with a high of 58 and then expected to cool down onto Sunday with a 42. But with little sunshine, although April is already bringing some showers, the temperature at least will remain warm throughout the week. Well, what are your guys' plans for this weekend?
Well, this weekend, I think I'm just going to take it back a little bit, relax, get some work done, maybe spend some time with friends, go to a nearby coffee shop. I'm not sure, but how about you, Sophia? Anything on the schedule?
Nothing crazy planned up to the job hunting now that I graduate in only 6 weeks, so definitely a lot of time spent on that. Mira, what do you have lined up?
I am just gonna take the weekend to relax and enjoy my time. Well, hopefully you guys are able to enjoy the weather.
Thank you so much, and same to you. And we'll be right back after this break with some more campus headlines.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
It's important to get a flu shot each and every year because flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from the vaccine decreases over time. Flu vaccines are updated annually to work against that year's viruses. The best time to get your shot is in the fall, but getting it later can still help. Getting a flu shot lowers your risk of getting sick And if you do happen to get flu, it's likely to be less severe.
Welcome back. As we get close to the last week of Ramadan, let's see how students have been balancing the holiday with other aspects of campus life. Our campus correspondent, Akua Deval, has more.
Unity and community bonding is on full display this March as BU celebrates Ramadan, with the school providing group prayer spaces and meals for students who celebrate. Ramadan is Islam's month-long period of daily fasting and prayer that celebrates the revealing of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad. BU Dining Services teamed up with BU Religious Life to serve food during Ramadan for sahur, meaning a meal eaten pre-dawn, and iftar, meaning one had at sunset to break the day-long fast. Associate Muslim chaplain Nagla Abdallah says that preparation for Ramadan observance at BU began as soon as she arrived in September.
The idea behind it is to have that sense of community, because this is really a special time for students to be together and break their fast and do their religious observance and pray together.
BU student and fitness enthusiast Iman Rana says that despite the challenge of balancing fasting and exercising, Ramadan always comes first.
Your fitness routine is not going to be perfect. You aren't going to be lifting the same amount of weight. You're not going to be able to do the same amount of cardio because then again, you don't have water, proper sleep, or food in your body.
BU student Zuiz Saeed says that BU has created a good support system for his religious accommodations.
Most professors, they'll know that Ramadan is at around this time, so they'll excuse you from classes. If you have a late class, they'll excuse you from the class for breaking your fast.
The Islamic Society of BU plans to hold an Eid breakfast on March 30th to commemorate the end of the holy month of Ramadan, which will be held at GSU. For GMBU, I'm Akua Deval.
Thanks, Akua. Other Terriers have been just as active around campus, even over spring break. Some students were turning data into solutions for real-world problems through MassMutual's Data Days for Good. The teams analyzed housing for seniors, digitalized historic land records, and studied nonprofit leadership diversity. One team worked with Boston City Councilor Ben Weber to map senior housing availability in District 6. Others used machine learning to transcribe handwritten land records and track diversity trends in executive roles. Students led the research with mentorship from BU Spark and MassMutual. It's always good to see Terriers doing important work that impacts our community. Speaking of teams, the BU men's ice hockey team's run for the Hockey East title came to an unfortunate end last night. Find out how when we come back.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Welcome back. It's time to bite the bullet, or should I say, the puck. The men's ice hockey team is officially out for the running for the Hockey East title after losing to UConn last night. We have our sports correspondents Alexa Podolsky and Lily Chapman in the studio to break down just what happened.
Thanks, George. In the wise words of Coach Jay Pandolfo, the men's hockey team got their behinds handed to them.
The only thing is that he did not say it that nicely. They lost to UConn 5-2 in the Hockey East semifinals last night at TD Garden.
And it was definitely a rough game for the Terriers. And there were tons of common mistakes that Lily and I saw.
Absolutely. The team seemed to have it at the top of the first period, but they lost that momentum going into the second period when they had that penalty kill. This is when we started to see those uncoordinated passes.
It just seemed like the men were out of it. They were passing the pucks to seemingly no one, and at times even UConn. But even then, BU didn't try to save it from UConn's possession. The Terriers just looked sluggish.
And that's an understatement. Even during the second
intermission, Captain Shane LaChance said that the team wasn't skating at the level that they should have been.
And as a result, the offense couldn't break through UConn's defense. They kept taking shot after shot at the red zone, and almost all of those attempts failed.
And the defense didn't do much better. There were times where players just sat back and watched as UConn stole the possession, and they left Mikhail Yegorov out to fend for himself.
Yeah, that poor man, like you said, was playing by himself and working overtime. So no wonder that the Huskies had 5 unanswered goals.
Yeah, but I do have to say that there were good moments in the game. Yegorov made some incredible saves for the circumstances that he was under, so you could only imagine how good the score could have been had the defense stepped up.
Quinn Hudson also scored early on in the first period. He kept that puck low to the ground instead of chipping it up, and it slid into the net. And Aiden Celebrini made his 3rd career goal with just seconds left on the clock, but that was overshadowed by the Terriers' overall defeat.
Yeah, it was a grim outcome for the Terriers, and definitely not one that BU hockey fans had hoped for.
No, but as Pandolfo said, the only positive outcome to come out of last night is that there's going to be another game the Terriers have until the NCAA Regionals about 1 week from now. They'll have until then to figure things out. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Alexa and Lily. Coming up next, a local artist will share with us her vision of art education, and we'll hear a preview of BU's Symphony Hall concert.
Yeah, it was really good, guys.
If you know that I want the best for you. I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that the big homie needs help too. You can't just rebound from everything. I know you've been grinding.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. I wonder why we waited so long. I'm not wondering anymore. Love, your mind. Let's see how far we can go.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Food can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Welcome back. Our interview correspondent Sienna Gleason spoke to one local artist who is bringing her vision of art education to the Boston community.
Thanks, George. Today, I'm here with Zahara Nur-Truth to talk to us about her work as an art educator and the future of art education. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you too. Can you share a bit about your journey in the arts and how you became an arts educator?
I would love to. I just recall being a young child and always loving art. And later in life, I started as an early childhood educator. And art is very much a strong foundation of early childhood education. I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach art. Like, this feels right. You don't need a lot to be an artist. I think everybody has the opportunity to be creative, and you can be creative in any field that you do. And one thing that I try to live by is giving art from the heart, and I think everybody can do that.
Given all the recent changes to the education system, how do you think art education's role will change?
You know, I'm a little worried when I think about just the trajectory of arts education. We have seen like kind of ups and downs where art has been emphasized as being very important, and then other moments where it's the first thing to be cut. Art provides an outlet that young people don't usually get in a traditional academic setting, and I think by taking those tools and resources and opportunities away, you cut back on young people's opportunity to be creative and have that creativity and joy show up in other aspects of their learning. If we are more intentional about our curriculum development and having art be integrated, like when we think of STEAM, having art really be integrated into the science, into the tech, into the math and so on, then that will help young people also learn better and have better outcomes. I think it would be a very sad, dark, dreary place if we couldn't come together in these community spaces where we can share our humanity. I think art is universal.
Thanks, Sienna. Staying in the arts community, BU Symphony Orchestra and Chorus get ready for their spring concert at the Symphony Hall next week. Our arts and culture correspondent Claire Chen visited some of their rehearsals.
What you just heard was the Boston University Symphony Orchestra, who will join the BU Wind Ensemble and Symphonic Chorus in delivering a breathtaking performance at Symphony Hall on March 31st. Under the direction of conductors Daniel Parsley, Kenneth Amis, and Sarah Ioannidis, the program will highlight Leonard Bernstein's Chichester Psalms, along with compositions by Richard Strauss, Maurice Ravel, and Arnold Rosner.
They're integrating things like from musical theater styles. The program is so intentionally eclectic. There's going to be something for everyone.
The orchestra and chorus usually rehearse separately, but for this performance, getting to collaborate is part of the fun.
That first rehearsal when everyone gets to hear, the orchestra gets to hear what the choir is doing, it's a cool moment, because they're these light bulb moments. That's how it should sound, and they're doing it.
While BU faculty are directing the performance, this concert also puts students in the spotlight.
I've really loved the journey getting to work with the chorus. It's really been quite the immersifying experience.
For many students, this concert and its historic venue marks an unforgettable milestone in their musical careers.
It's really special to be part of a huge choir that's performing in such a renowned space. Really not every day that you get to perform in a place like Symphony Hall.
With the concert date fast approaching, rehearsals are intensifying. There's excitement in the air, but also a deep sense of focus.
If you come to this, you're going to have your socks blown off.
As for the audience, Dr. Parsley has promised you'll be in for a real treat.
Fun fact, so in 1965, Leonard Bernstein conducted this in his socks. You will see me on March 31st. I promise you I will have shoes. Maybe. But we'll find out.
Get your tickets soon on the Symphony Hall website, and we hope to see you here on March 31st. For GMBU, I'm Claire Chen.
Thanks, Claire. That seems absolutely amazing. I have to make sure to get to the Symphony Hall on the 31st. I for sure don't want to miss that. I don't know about you, George, but I was a little bit musically gifted, trying to stay humble, but I played piano, guitar, clarinet, flute, and violin. So I've done it all. Anything from you? You ever tried anything?
Well, I was going to say that is a lot, and you must have been pretty busy to be handling and be able to play all those instruments too. I was going to say definitely talented as well. For me, it's only been piano and trumpet, so I'm a little bit behind you in that regard, but I haven't picked up either in a while, so this has kind of inspired me. Maybe, after the show, after the break, I'll go and, play some piano, maybe grab out the trumpet. I do have it with me. But
you do?
I do, actually. It's back in my dorm on campus, so back in my place. So maybe I'll, play something, or I don't know, we'll have to see. But do you mean to pick up any instruments recently at all?
Okay, so here's the thing. There was a studio near my house, like a music studio, that I used to practice the piano in for 4 years. Hated it. My mom made me come. She's probably watching and she's laughing at home right now, but I did not like playing the piano, just did it for her. And I was a singer at the time, so I'm like, maybe I'll become a pop star, blend the two. That didn't work out. Then I went to summer camp and I dabbled in each instrument for a little bit, but I don't think it's in my near future anytime soon, honestly.
Well, I have to say, I guess you can always pick up the singing, and I might have to too. You've inspired me a little bit, but that is going to be all for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and that's all at Good Morning BU. From all of us here at the GMBU team, thank you so much for watching. I'm George Lehman.
And I'm Sophia Falvo. Stay safe and have a great weekend.